Hello, dear ladies and gentlemen. Today we'll beginning course named Minding Russia. As you know, my name is Gennady, and I am immigrant from Russia living in the United States. I am PhD in philosophy, and as philosopher, I want to get a sense what is Russia, what is my motherland, my country, because today all world knows about military crimes, absolutely brutal and vulgar actions, which Russian Federation, headed by Vladimir Putin, organized in the territory of Ukraine. War in the heart of Europe in the 21st century is incredible, is impossible, is senseless, nonsense, but it happens. In my course, we will try to understand how Russia had come to this way, to way of aggression and way of destroying of human rights and even human lives. But what's perspective, future of Russia in this case? First of all, I should say about the purpose of my course. It's not criticize and cursing of Russia as country. It is not explanation of Putinism as a historical phenomenon, but it is some discussion, some consideration on Russian history. What aspects of history shaped Russia in this way, in which Russia exists now? And in our first lecture, we will pose one question. What is Russia? Of course, you can answer to this question positively. I mean, Russia is country, or Russia is Russian government, Russia is Vladimir Putin policy, or Russian is Russian people. But first of all, I want to say what Russia is not. And today we will discuss around several rhetorical questions. First of all, it's a very popular question. Is Russia some Russian ruler? In this slide, you can see 4 Russian rulers, world known. First of them is Ivan the Terrible, first Russian Tsar who reigned in 16th century. Second is Peter the Great, or Peter the First Russian emperor, who headed Russian kingdom, Russian realm in the beginning of 18th century. He also was father of Russian Empire. Third one is Stalin, Joseph Stalin. He's a great and bloody dictator, but during his ruling, Soviet Russia became superpower. And fourth one, of course, is Vladimir Putin, is actual leader of Russian Federation, which is president of this country for 23 years. And many people, both in Russia or in other countries, think that Russia, first of all, is Russia's leader. For example, Russia of 16th century is Ivan the Terrible. Russia of the beginning of Age of Enlightenment is Peter the Great. Russia of the 30th 40s and the beginning of 15th, of course, is Joseph Stalin. Modern Russia is Vladimir Putin. But it's absolutely wrong logic, because Russia as state and Russia is a country is an absolutely different way. It's in sometimes contradictory ways. One Russian right-wing intellectual used term kratokratia, kratocracy, or using translate from Greece, it is power of power, or better, power because of power. It's logic of all Russian history. Power, state power, government power is some structural forming, structural shaping force into the country. But the Russian life was and is except and out of state life. And sometimes, and I think always, Russian rulers destroyed Russia and were enemies of Russian people. These leaders killed many people, destroyed a social institution, and of course forgot about forgive and human rights, forgive the elementary rights of all people who lives in Russia. And first, our conclusion: Russia is not a Russian ruler. What else? Regardless of a person who is in Russian throne or in a chair of president. Second, Russia is a Russian territory, but first of all, territory of Russia was forming during many years, during millennium, since time of first Prince of Kievan Rus. Moreover, the most of the territory of previous state, Kievan Rus, or the medieval kingdom, now exists outside of Russia. It's a territory of Ukraine and Belarus, and partly Poland and Lithuania. But maybe Russia is a territory of modern Russian Federation. But territory of Russia changed for all 20th century. Russian Empire, Soviet Union, modern Russia, and aggressive policy of Vladimir Putin ended by really conquest of Ukrainian territories and making of the so-called buffer state or quasi-states in the Russian borders in Georgia or in Moldavia. But the most of this territory is absolutely depopulated, without population, because it's cold snow desert. And the most of Russian population live in European Russia, here, westerner than Ural Mountains. And what about Siberia? Populated by natives, peoples, native tribes. What about Russian North? Is it Russia or not? It's a question. And of course, territory of Russia changed, and in a different period, it was different. And we cannot make equal Russia and Russian territory. Third, is Russia the Russian people? In Russian, there are two words, two different words for meaning Russians in English. First, Россияне. that means civil community or some citizenship or origin from Russian territory. And second term is Ruski, Russians in ethnic means, ethnic meaning. That means people who ethnically Russian, not Tatars, not Jews, not Kalmyks, not Yakuts, etc. In this slide, you can see Soviet banner, Soviet poster about the friendship of peoples or friendship of nations, in Russian, Дружба народов. This is the chief idea of Soviet ethnic policy, because Bolsheviks were years of romanticism and revolutionaries of the 19th century who proclaim right for every people, for every nation to make their own state and to find their own cultures. And Bolsheviks saw about so-called self-government of each people who lives in the territory of Soviet Russia. But it's so strange distinction is so strange difference, because who are Русские, Russians in ethnic sense? In Russian we have proverb «По три русского татарин появится». Clean a Russian man, you can see Tatar man, because of long big territory with many tribes in early medieval epoch. The foundation of Russian in ethnic sense people was mixing and a confusion of different tribes, Eastern Slavs tribes, Finno-Ugric tribes, Turk tribes, etc. And in fact, in the DNA, if you like, of Russians, ethnically Russians, there are many components from previous people, from previous tribes, etc. And it is difficult to say who is really Russian in ethnic sense, or who not, or maybe all who speak in Russian is Russian. It's a very important question. In the end of our short lecture, we will discuss again, because it's a very dangerous logic to proclaim all Russian speakers Russians. Next question: Is Russia a Russian culture? In this picture, you can see Mikhail Lomonosov is a great scientist, poet, historian, and founding father of my university, in which I degree. My university has full name Lomonosov State University. Second one is Alexander Pushkin, the son of Russian poetry, father of Russian poetry. The third one is Pyotr Tchaikovsky, who is well-known and worldwide known composer and musicians. And every Westerner visits Nutcracker in a Christmas Eve. It's a great creature of Tchaikovsky. And fourth one is Leo Tolstoy, or better in Russian, Lev Nikolaevich Tolstoy. He was, of course, a great writer, philosopher, anarchist, and religious thinker. Of course, many Westerner so novels as Anna Karenina or War and Peace. And my question is, what is all these people, all culture which they create is Russia? Because as you know, in every country, in every society, in every community, there are many people of different cultural educational level. And of course, most of Russians don't know about poems of Mikhail Lomonosov, or never read his historical works. And in this way, of course, all Russian people read in school Pushkin poems and War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy, but never reflect, never consider carefully this art piece of Russian literature. And of course, many people in the world heard first concerto for piano with orchestra by Pyotr Tchaikovsky, but they don't know about other musical novels of this composer. But not all people in Russia, like in other country, has a real cultural level to reflect, to understand, and to think and rethink this culture. And it is so difficult to answer: is Russia is the Russian culture or not? But maybe the answer is Russian culture is the heritage for all mankind, not all Russia, not only of Russia. And many Russian people, most Russian people don't know about how their culture, about full level of their culture. And let's remember idea that all Russian speakers are Russians. This is a foundation for imperialist concept of the so-called Russian world, Русский мир. Русский мир, or Russian world, is some justification for invasions of Russian troops in other countries, and for intervention of Russians in lives of Europe, etc. The chief message of this idea: all who speak Russians is our compatriot. Today in Russia, there is idea of compatriots abroad. That means Russian people, Russian citizens, expats who live in other countries. And this concept of the compatriots is some kinds of idea that all who has Russian passport, all who has Russian citizenship, or whose ancestor were from Russia, is potential soldier in all sense of the this word of Putin's army, and that means he or she should obey to Putin, to Russian policy, and he or she should justify Russia. And this idea has began in the dawn of our century, and now it has embodiment and incarnation in the bloody war with Ukraine. Of course, imperialism in all form is evil, but this imperialism, founded in idea of expansion of Russian territory, idea that Russia is Russia's will is will of a Russian ruler, and idea that all Russian speakers is ethnically Russian. As we saw, it has very bad, very absolutely bloody and brutal, cruel consequences. And in conclusion of my lecture, I would say that Russia is not Putin, it's not blood invasion in Ukraine, but misunderstanding and wrong ideas of Russian culture were reasons and justification for this war. Be careful in your mind. Make strong difference, strong and long distance between Russia as spiritual concept, like as country, and Putinism, which is not Russia. Thanks for joining us. Subscribe our channel, like this video, and comment that. Our discussion will be great because it's a very actual thing. Have a nice one, dear ladies.